Hey guys, Duskmourn Magic here, and oh boy did they go nuts today with the announcements. This is gonna be definitely a 3 video plus night. I may never get to bed, but let's start with Archenemy because that was kind of a cool thing and they're bringing it back. So this is posted by Gavin Verhey. He says, 3 unlikely heroes, 1 nefarious archenemy. Are you up for the challenge? So this time around they're doing what I just put up on screen. A commander archenemy. Oh boy. I don't know about you, but if I'm playing online multiplayer games, I'm going to do raids. Okay, I'm going to do like me and some of the boys versus one big bad because that's just cool. Boss battles are cool. Wouldn't it be cool if 3 people could gang up on 1 in Magic the Gathering? I mean, it's already kind of wild that they're trying multiplayer at all because the game's not designed for that. Well, here it is. So we've got Miracle Worker, white, black, blue. I don't care what they say. Those 3 colors are the enemy when added together. Then we got Death Toll, black and green. We've got Jump Scare at blue-green. And then we've got Endless Punishment, black-red. And as you can see, these are from Duskmourn, the upcoming set after the Weird Animal one. So, okay, that'll be Bloomburrow. So a lot of people get them mixed up, I guess, because they both sound British-ish. No. This is the Haunted House one. And we've got some information about that. I've got to say, and I said it like a year and a half ago when it was announced, that sounds like potentially the coolest setup for a plane ever. Planes are different sizes. Some of them are flat. Some of them are like a round globe, an actual planet. Some of them are super small, like the Meditation Realm. Some are like little pocket dimensions created by like hyper powerful beings, which I believe is also in the Meditation Realm. But what if the entire realm was one haunted house? I assume a very enormous size, but yeah, that's what they're doing. That is like the coolest thing ever. So that'll be a topic for later. So the whole deal here is that 3 are normal powered and 1 is like outrageous, and you have to gang up on them. Because if you just took like 3 of my random decks and put them up against 1 of mine, guess who's gonna win? The 3. So that's the problem. It's not really bring your own deck, and it's not really like DIY of a format, unless you let the archenemy person cheat. I don't know. Like, you could start them at 100 life, but it's not going to matter. Their cards have to be more powerful. So that is the weakness. This is kind of just buy it and play it. You can't really do much with it, but let's just read what they said. So coming up in Duskmourn House of Horror, the commander decks have something returning that has been requested for years, Archenemy. Now I gotta say, Archenemy is cool. I like the idea. It's neat. I like Plane Chase so much better. And the last Plane Chase set had pretty good sales, but not like amazing, which is pretty much what I saw coming. Plane Chase is the best format plus ever, so if you're gonna play something new and interesting, look at that before you ever look at Archenemy. It works perfectly with existing decks of any type in any format. Archenemy does not. So this optional game mode pits 3 players against 1, but don't worry, if you're the one flying solo, the 1 player has a special deck of Twisted Schemes at their disposal. What is this? Where did it come from? How does it work? What's new this time around? All this and more today. Let's get started. I read that exactly as they wrote it. I'm not like playing a bit. Gavin Verhey actually wrote that, and if you know him, you're not surprised. So, Villainous Beginnings. All the way back in 2010, we debuted Archenemy with a special release of 60 card pre-constructed decks. By the way, a ton of the cards from those are worth a serious amount of money. I know, because they showed up in the last couple buy lists I did. So we followed it up in 2017 with a project I led called Archenemy Nicol Bolas. I do remember that. I think that flopped pretty hard. It made a lot of sense to bring Archenemy back for the Bolas arc. See, there you go, flavor. Some players got to play as the plucky planeswalkers of the Gatewatch. Yeah, plucky, more like completely inept and incapable of functioning as humans or heroes. They just don't believe in planning. While another played as Nicol Bolas, spinning all matters into twisted schemes. There's a lot of people who love the format, myself included, and so bringing it back seemed like an inevitability. Yeah, if you're going to print everything else, I mean, he's almost got a, backhanded compliment right there. I personally love how it creates team play. Usually in Magic, you play against someone. Well, okay, you still are. But in Archenemy, you get to team up with people, whether playing with longtime Magic friends, kids, a partner, or whomever you can bring someone in. That's almost a sentence. At any skill level, because you get to play alongside them. I'm serious, that sentence fell apart. Holy cow. They don't really proofread these anymore. It's unique that way. That's the end of the paragraph. Take a guess if there's a semicolon there. Not to mention, it's a blast and try to take down or be the archenemy. Wow, was this written by AI? The storytelling of the game adds a great little twist. But where to bring it back? Enter Annie Sardellis. So they call her a rising star. They said that she did the design, or led the design, on MTG Fallout Commander decks and Bloomburrow Commander decks, and then also Duskmourn. She's quoted as saying, "As a huge fan of horror, I decided to work at Wizards of the Coast." Okay, so they actually wrote, as a huge fan of the horror genre that inspired the setting, she really wanted to do something cool for the decks. Boy, if that don't sound generic. We've recently made some bonus additions to Commander decks like Plane Chase, heck yeah, in the March of the Machine, and Magic the Gathering Doctor Who Commander. I don't know what they did there. So Annie started thinking about that space. And what about Archenemy? It was a perfect fit. The set certainly had a huge archenemy feel, as everyone was working together to deal with the mysteries and horrors of the House of Duskmourn. A well of inspiration for the set was Betrayal at the House on Haunted Hill. I knew it. And this would very much allow for that kind of gameplay. You know, they literally own Clue, but then they just did Clue the last time that we were in a House of Horror, which was weirdly recent, actually. But man, would I love to see one that's based off of the Winchester Mansion, I guess it would be called. You know, the lady who was like, ooh, gotta keep the ghosts out, build the weirdest house ever. And I'm not convinced that it isn't based on that. We've got some evidence of that, actually. So they go on to say, people were on board. There was just one trick to figure out. How did Archenemy work in Commander? We had never done that before. So if you're not familiar, the rules are kind of weird. 3 players, the heroes, all take a shared turn together. They draw a card at the same time, take their main phases at the same time, attack at the same time, and so on. You can, and should, help each other out by casting spells on one another, but you don't share resources, so you can't tap someone else's land for mana or cast spells from their hand. If you're familiar with Two-Headed Giant, it's pretty much that. Meanwhile, the archenemy takes their own turn, and when they attack, creatures from any player on the hero's team can block, though you still do attack specific players. Attack the white, blue, black player, by the way. Just a little tip from old Des here. How can the archenemy compete? Well, first of all, they go first. Okay, but most importantly, they have this deck of oversized scheme cards. That's right, it's kind of like Plane Chase, but less balanced. So check this out. Okay, I will savor your agony scheme. When you set this scheme in motion, choose 3. You may choose the same mode more than once. Destroy target creature, target player draws a card, and target player gains 5 life. Gee, I wonder who you would target with those. So at the beginning of their first main phase, not the start of their turn, first main phase, they flip over the top card of their scheme deck and do whatever it says. I hope one of them has flipped the table over. It can range from drawing cards and sweeping the board to making creatures, and I'm not sure what they intended to write here. They put Hellip. Like Hellip. I'm going to write it as they wrote it. It can range from drawing cards and sweeping the board to making creatures and Hellip and all kinds of various dastardly deeds. Whoa, we got a new archetype of permanent called a Hellip? That's neat. I highly recommend reading them. That's ironic. In the best villain voice you can. The real villain is your editor, because they don't exist. Now, they give an old example here. They say there are ones that will stay in play until their abandoned condition happens, giving you a long-lasting advantage. So we got Bolus with Because I Have Willed It. It's an ongoing scheme. Spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. Ooh, that's nasty. At the beginning of your opponent's end step, if they cast 4 or more spells this turn, abandon the scheme. This really gives them a huge advantage, and all 3 opponents have to work together to take them down. Oh, and when a scheme either gets used or gets abandoned, you put it on the bottom of your scheme deck, so you don't ever run out. Now they just want to talk about life totals, because that's where it gets wacky. So, normally with 60 card decks, it was 40, 20, 20, 20. So they admit that tactically the best thing to do with even that old setup was to just absolutely go after one single player, because if you spread the damage out evenly and take them out all at once, and like that's the goal, then you're playing against 3 people for the longest amount of time, and that is tactically unsound. So this time, the archenemy has 60 life and the entire hero team has 60 life. They all win or lose together. That is more fair, but they did reference, ooh, fee wings. Oh, it feels bad. That player's going to feel singled out. Oh, boo-hoo. If that ain't the most lefty crap I've heard today, but sure, whatever, let's try it. So they still choose who they attack for the purposes of like triggers and stuff, but then they all block together, so it almost doesn't really matter. So there's other changes. They're making it so you only need 10 schemes to play. Okay, you can go as high as you want. There are 40, but they did mention that with the life change total, a couple of them are not going to work. And they're only printing 10 schemes with the enemy deck this time, so I guess that's why they changed it. That is like not turning in your homework on time and then just telling the teacher, no, that's what I intended. Then they end this entire thing by undercutting it as like, well, I don't know though, guys. Just little asterisk. They say Archenemy is a totally optional opt-in way to play Commander. What a wonderful way to leave off the article there. Wow. So that's it. Did you guys play it last time around? And have you played it the original time or anywhere in between? Do you have some to go dust off at home? Let's discuss it down in the comments section. Thanks for watching, and it's time to cover some more stuff and some more videos. So subscribe if you don't want to miss them. It's going to be a busy Friday. I'll see you guys next time.